When looking at the human population growth trajectory over the last hundreds, if not thousands of years, we are taken by two very important facts. The first is that the human growth trajectory, population trajectory, was very flat until the Industrial Revolution. Once the Industrial Revolution happened, it literally unleashed a series of technological possibilities and processes that propelled human population into very rapid growth. But this was accelerated by the second factor in the 1960s, when antibiotics became commonplace. Prior to that, antibiotics were only discovered between the First and Second World Wars, and they were mainstream during World War II. And they became publicly accessible on a wide scale only in the 1960s. And once we had antibiotics, of course, the human life was less at risk, because ordinary infections that would normally have killed people could now be brought under control at a very, very early stage. And that propelled human population growth into an exponential trajectory. However, on the wastewater side, what we also need to remember is that all drugs that are taken, including your antibiotics, but also antiretrovirals, antidepressants, hormone replacement medications such as estrogen, all of that comes back in our return flow in rivers. And it's only because of the Industrial Revolution that we now have massive amounts of sewage return flows that all go back into our rivers and eventually accumulate in our estuaries. And those sewage return flows are laden with antibiotics, with antiretrovirals, with estrogen and estrogen mimickers, and with a range of other medications, all of which are now starting to generate a next generation of multi-drug resistant pathogens. So it's not inconceivable that in the very near future we're going to start seeing things come out of our estuaries in particular where we get drug resistant pathogens. And we're starting to see early evidence of that now in the form of something known as necrotizing fasciitis, which is a nice technical word for flesh-eating bacteria. And we're starting to see this happen in our oceans. We've already had some cases in the Mhlanga Rocks area, and we've also started to see it in our lagoons. We've had one or two cases in the lagoon areas, and we're also seeing it inland in some of our rivers, where we've had a few cases now in the Vaal River system. And in all cases, these bacteria survive in saline water that's contaminated by sewage, and of course these bacteria, these pathogens, are now proliferating in the presence of antiretrovirals and antibiotics, so they are becoming multi-drug resistant. So this is a huge problem that we've got to start setting our sights on over the next decade, because this is the timeline that it's likely to hit us. My name is Anthony Turton. I hope you found this information of some value.